What are you taking away, Matthew?
We can empower people to have more responsibility and be okay with them failing without having the pressure to feel like I am responsible for that, feel guilty for that, or have to report to somebody else for that.
So what are some of the challenges that you've been having, Matthew?
I feel immensely responsible for the team and the outcome of the team. So if somebody performs poorly, that's on me. And I have to report that to the big guy, you know? So I think part of it is selfishly or maybe defensively, I take on more to make sure that they can still succeed. You know, it's like, oh, they can't fail because I'm helping them. Wherever there's failure, I'm going to fill in. I'm not always one to like, I'm giving you full responsibility of this thing. You take that. I try here and there, but I think that like the core of me still feels like, I don't know if I can entrust everybody to do this.
So what I heard in your sharing was really that it's like you're more of a savior to the team and jumping and swooping in to make sure that everything always goes right. And I totally get it. It's like it's protecting the baby and then you have responsibility. And this is probably what a lot of leaders feel. It's like they have a responsibility to the organization and the person above them and then to the people below. And when is it okay to let someone fall and fail? Because that's how we learn. That's feedback. And if we lack that and someone is always kind of saving the day and taking away all the roadblocks and the precarious, you know, things that are in front of us, it's like, think about touching a stove. Like I can tell you 500 times, don't touch the stove.
Right.
But you won't understand why until you touch the stove.
Right.
And then you will never touch the stove again.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So when you look at your team, what do you want for them in terms of their growth? Do you want to save them? Do you want them to grow? Do you want them to fall?
I want them to grow for sure. I want them to be the best version of themselves as possible.
What do you think will get them there?
Providing them information. I think that's helpful. Illuminating the way I think and why I think that way. Agreeing on expectations with them. And then having some form of evaluation or measuring what has happened post-experiment, post-test, right?
And finding little projects or places where you can test this out, right? So maybe it's like a portion of a project that you're going to let them kind of take the lead on. You're still going to be there and you're going to do all the things you said, like you're going to give them the context. You're going to provide as much information as you can about what roadblocks might show up for them. And then you're going to tell them if something shows up that I have, you know, left out here, you're going to come to me and we're going to talk about it.
So in that sense, it's less risk. It seems like if it's just a portion of a larger project or task.
You're mitigating the risk.
Right.
Not eliminating it. You know, you think about it as expansion. It's like how much can you expand that rubber band a little bit more each time? Give them a little more runway, a little more leeway. And what that does is it serves them and it also serves you. Because you get to start to step away a little bit more. And the better they get at it, then you're stepping farther and farther away so that you can focus on the other plates that you're trying to keep up in the air. Because as a leader, that management of the team is only one part of your job.
Right.
Is that helpful?
It is. I have to look at the day-to-days and then just start mapping those concepts to there and thinking about that. So I got to think about ways to remind myself of that so that I could be more mindful when those moments happen.
So what would be one thing that you could do so that you avoid jumping into the old pattern?
You know, my first instinct is to throw somebody into the deep end. But I don't know if, again, it's like, is that mitigating the risk or is that just like allowing them to learn the fastest way possible? So if I said tomorrow, I'm off this project, this is all you. The success from here on out is up to you.
Well, that would be like me telling my kids, you don't have to be in the booster seat. And by the way, here are the keys. Right. I know you're only 9, but go ahead and drive.
Right. So again, it's kind of black and white for me.
It's extreme, yeah.
It's very extreme, and it's hard for me to. What is the mitigated risk part? So that's the part I haven't quite formulated yet, or how much handholding should I do versus how much do I want them to learn in that environment.
Well, it's such a great opportunity for you to grow right there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a key leadership challenge. And you get to apply this starting ASAP, like tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
And to just pause. Maybe that's the thing is if you notice that you want to swoop in and just kind of handle it, if there's a problem, you can just take a minute and say, okay, is there a way to do this differently? And one thing is that when we get stuck in that polarized thinking, it really, it inhibits our ability to think of multiple options because our brain has already polarized it. So one idea is to ask someone else what they think, right? So you can go to Mark and be like, so Mark, here's, I'm trying to step back a little bit from, the swooping in and saving of the team on projects. I'm really stuck. I don't know if I should just walk away from the project or if I should do my old way. And then Mark, you could say, well, have you thought about this?
Just to get a second opinion from a peer or even someone else.
Anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that would be outside of your world, they're going to have different glasses on, different lens, a different filter. And so they can see it more clearly. And we want to try to interrupt the pattern, right? If your pattern is to swoop in, then we want to try to stop that and say, okay, what could I do differently this time? And if I feel stuck and I can't think of anything, let me ask someone else.
I like that.
So what are you guys taking away? Anything really struck a chord with you?
To let go of a couple of things. A little bit more. Already seeing little moments, just reflecting on the week where those things could have happened, or I could do more of that. So I know there are things I can do there. I can empower people to have more responsibility and be okay with them failing without having the pressure to feel like I am responsible for that, feel guilty for that, or have to report to somebody else for that. So those are the key things that I've taken away, and I'm just going to be needing to reflect on and continue to see where I might apply that.
I like that. So learning how to let go a little bit and release some of that sense of what I would call over responsibility. So there's being responsible as a leader, and then sometimes as people, depending on our upbringing, again, we have a sense of over responsibility, and that's what we want to release. Because we want to take responsibility. As a leader, it's really important to say, you know what, I messed up. Like, I want to do that differently next time. And that's great because that's modeling that for your staff too.
Right.
So you want to take responsibility, and we want to think about what the word responsibility can mean, which is our ability to respond in any situation. We have control over that. We have control over our response, no one else's response.
Right.
So that's great. So learning how to let go of the over responsibility and lean more into letting staff, team experiment, be challenged, make mistakes, and fail at a level that it won't destroy the business, right? It's just a fine line, right?
Won't close the doors.
Right.
Right.
But you've been here long enough to know what that will look like. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, it's just uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So you have to get kind of comfortable with that discomfort.
Correct.
Hi, my name is Greg Gunn, and I'm the producer of the Futur Podcast. And yes, we do have a podcast. In fact, we've been having one for years, and that's exactly why I'm here talking with you. You see, it's really good, and I think you should listen to it. If you like what we do here on YouTube, then you're gonna love what we do on the podcast. You'll get to hear intimate conversations and personal stories from some familiar faces and others you might not know about yet. Plus, you can listen to it while doing something else and you won't miss a thing. So, if any of that sounds interesting to you, go visit thefutur.com/podcast or find it on your favorite podcast listening app. I hope to see you there.